My name is Lynn Coles, and I'm a Health and Food Justice Programs Manager with Every Texan. I like Progress Texas because I think that there is no better organization to organize people around media around the state, and the content that y'all create is so easily accessible for people and for sharing. Phone trees are going to be really important. Make sure you have a phone tree and trust the people you love and build trust with others.
It's Friday, January 24th, 2025, and this is the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch, rapid response on the breaking news stories Texas progressives need to know. I'm Chris Mosier. Is it an insult? Was it inevitable? Does it really matter? All still to be worked out, but there's undoubtedly a sting for progressive Texans in the news that even after wheeling and dealing on the part of Democratic lawmakers, designed to preserve some semblance of power for their minority in the legislature in regard to backing Lubbock Representative Dustin Burrows and elevating him to the position of Speaker of the House, James Barragan at the Texas Tribune writes that the House voted yesterday to ban Democrats from leading committees. We noted, of course, that Burrows never made any promises outwardly about protecting the tradition of bipartisan power sharing that had been in place for decades in Austin, but the strong hope that he would was certainly implied. That tradition, dating back to 1969, is now dead. Parallels here to Roe v. Wade. Just as the U.S. Supreme Court claimed to be leaving that issue to the states, Burrows pledged only to leave the issue of Democratic chairs to the full House, and Republicans killed it. As Minority Leader and Houston State Rep Gene Wu sees it, there is a bright side here. The new rules dictate that while all committee chairs will be Republicans, all vice chairs will be Democrats. Even that's not enough for ultra-MAGA hardliners who continue to bitch that Democrats may retain some shred of influence under new subcommittees also created under this year's rules. Even in a moment of apparent historic victory, Republicans continue to bicker over whether or not that victory was sufficiently complete and cruel. It's hard to point the finger, by the way, on all of this at Democratic voters who didn't show up. This is a direct product of the partisan gerrymandering that has entrenched Republican control in the Texas legislature, perhaps permanently. The full implications of a now close to powerless Democratic Party in Texas will take time to develop. As it is, high-level Republican officials are already quite literally above the law. Word also yesterday that the State Bar of Texas has dropped disciplinary proceedings against Attorney General Ken Paxton over allegations that his failed efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election in favor of Donald Trump amounted to professional misconduct. Nadia Lathan at the Associated Press says the State Bar's Disciplinary Commission had accused Paxton of making false claims of fraud to the U.S. Supreme Court in his lawsuit challenging that election. Perhaps no longer important now that Trump's back in office. A spokesman for the State Bar of Texas, reached by the AP, declined to offer any explanation. Mentioned yesterday that the initial budget drafts from both the Texas Senate and the Texas House include multiple billions of dollars to continue funding Operation Lone Star. Governor Greg Abbott's real-life game of Army Man down at the border, in spite of theories that those billions would perhaps be redirected towards schools or water infrastructure or any number of important priorities, now that the Trump administration would ostensibly be down to step in and take over border matters, including Trump's promised mass deportation operation. News on that from yesterday is that Governor Abbott has formally requested that the new administration cough up over $11 billion to reimburse Texas for the money it's already blown on Operation Lone Star since 2021. Adam Fullerton at Fox 4 in Dallas reminds us that the ACLU has determined that those $11 billion, while they did result in thousands of arrests, those were mostly arrests for misdemeanor offenses like trespassing and ended up snaring mostly U.S. citizens. A complete boondoggle that if I were Donald Trump, I'd have no interest in paying for. Trump hasn't even paid El Paso the measly $500,000 he still owes them for a rally they hosted for him 6 years ago. This decision does go through the U.S. Congress, though, so we'll see what happens. Should Trump follow through with his threats of tariffs against our neighbors in the hemisphere, the Texas economy could soon find itself in rather dire need of that money, actually. James Osborne at the Houston Chronicle says Trump's across-the-board 25% tariff on imports from Mexico and Canada beginning February 1st would, quote, hit much of the Texas economy, from oil refineries around Houston that process Mexican crude to the Toyota plant in San Antonio that relies on Mexican parts to make Tundra pickup trucks and Sequoia SUVs, not to mention the state's Tex-Mex restaurants that rely on Mexican avocados for their guacamole. Communities around the country would likely see higher prices on everything from avocados to electronics, but the stakes are particularly high for border states like Texas. In 2023, trade between Texas and Mexico exceeded $272 billion, making Mexico the state's largest trading partner, unquote. Deep Red Texas may soon see grocery prices go the direct opposite direction than that they thought they were voting for back in November. Finally, we're sure you're noticing the pattern of increased Trumpy garbage crowding your social media feeds. We recommend that you continue relentlessly thumbs downing any content being served to you that you find unpalatable. These platforms would eventually rather keep your eyeballs than run you off with bad content. We also notice that the MAGA outrage machine is particularly touchy lately, and that makes for some good fun. The right-wing media machine, of course, is in full freak-out mode over the calm and collected plea from Bishop Marianne Budde the other day asking for simple mercy from the new Dear leader, a freak-out that's in clear overreaction to a simple statement of basic Christian values. Matt Howerton at WFAA in Dallas covers Flower Mound's Hive Bakery, a longtime unabashed progressive business who lately have seen an uptick in harassing phone calls and orders for Trump cakes that no one has any intention of paying for. We noticed also a major MAGA backlash against one of our own recent statements, the simple fact that the vast majority of American citizens, about 3/4 of us, in fact, did not vote for Donald Trump. They really lost it over that one. The way we see it, a red overreaction is a good sign that you've made a solid point and have hit a nerve. Don't be afraid of poking the MAGA bear. Remember that when they freak out, you've won. To borrow a phrase, you've owned them. Be loud and be proud, y'all. We're looking forward to tomorrow, Saturday, January 25th, as Progress Texas hosts the live stream of the first in-person Texas Democratic Party Chair Candidate Forum from the historic LBJ Ranch in the beautiful Texas Hill Country. As you likely know, Party Chair Gilberto Hinojosas' term of over a decade as chair will end in March as a new chair is elected. This is a key position vital to the future prospects of the Democratic Party in Texas, and we're very interested to hear from the people who'd like a chance at the job. Our live stream will come from Progress Texas's accounts on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, as well as channels hosted by the Texas Progressive Caucus and our friends at Unified. Watch all of those social media feeds for details today, and be ready to tune in at 2 p.m. tomorrow, Saturday the 25th. We expect the event to run about 2 hours. Our funding here at Progress Texas is rarely sufficient for us to plan very far ahead, but the conservative disinformation machine has no such obstacle. They're funded by oil and tech billionaires and religious right-wing activist groups. Our regular everyday listeners form a key component of our funding here at Progress Texas, so if that's you, we could use your support as a monthly contributor, and no amount is too small. Go to progresstexas.org/donate. Thanks to Jeffrey Snyder, Will Judy, and Ashley Tovar, all of whom have joined the team lately. We appreciate all of you very much. While you're at the website, be sure to grab the merch to match your progressive values at our web store. You'll find Y'all Means All, Rovolution, and our most popular Humans Against Ted Cruz t-shirts, all union printed right here in Texas, and all great Valentine's Day gift ideas, all at progresstexas.org. That's the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch for this Friday, January 24th, 2025. Links to all these original stories can be found in our show notes. Progress Texas is a nonprofit rapid response media organization promoting progressive messages and actions. While campaigns come and go, we're the permanent home for progressive media and action in the Lone Star State. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great weekend. We'll see you again on Monday.